Okay, so ready for a deep dive into some seriously strange stuff?
Always up for a good mystery.
This time, we're looking at UFOs,
Of course.
but with a twist. We've got the usual leaked reports and whistleblower stuff,
Right.
but we're also going to dig into a hypnotic regression session.
Oh, wow.
It's all based on the recent Pentagon UFO report everyone's talking about.
Hypnotic regression.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the whole thing's in Spanish.
Interesting.
It's on YouTube, so yeah,
Hmm.
this one's going to be a wild ride.
You know what I find fascinating about this? It's like they're trying to access some sort of hidden knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, hypnotic regression isn't exactly a mainstream investigative tool, right?
Definitely not something you see on CSI.
Right.
So for anyone who's not familiar with hypnotic regression, it's basically like
Yeah.
they put someone in a deep state of relaxation
Mm-hmm.
and try to tap into memories that might be buried way down deep.
I see.
In this case, they're asking the subject about that Pentagon report.
Oh.
The one that revealed over 750 new UFO sightings.
Right.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about that one.
And according to this hypnotic regression session, there is a lot more to the story.
Like what are they saying?
Well, for starters,
Mm-hmm.
they claim the timing of the report's release is super suspect.
Oh.
Like it was planned or something.
Mm.
You know how there's all this chaos going on in the world right now?
Yeah.
Wars, economic instability, all that.
Right.
They're saying the report dropped right when things were getting really intense.
Interesting.
They even brought up this thing called Project Bluebeam.
Project Bluebeam.
I had never heard of it before either.
Yeah.
Basically, it's this theory that governments are using holographic technology
Holographic technology.
to fake an alien invasion.
Oh, wow.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of ties into that whole idea that powerful people are controlling the narrative.
Oh, absolutely. It's like they're trying to manipulate global events.
Exactly. And maybe even using technology we can't even comprehend.
It's a theme that pops up a lot when you start digging into UFO stuff.
Definitely. You've got all these conflicting accounts and claims swirling around.
You've got ex-government officials and whistleblowers saying they've seen UFOs,
Right?
even recovered alien materials.
And then you had the Pentagon saying, nope, nothing to see here.
It's hard to know what to believe.
Makes you wonder who's telling the truth and why the stories are so different.
For sure.
But this source we're looking at today, they take it a step further. They claim there are these top secret programs
Secret program?
involving NASA, the CIA, the whole 9 yards.
Sure.
And they're not just observing extraterrestrials, they're actually interacting with them.
Interacting with them.
Yeah, and even developing crazy advanced technology based on what they're learning.
Like what kind of technology are we talking?
Teleportation, memory manipulation, even genetic engineering.
Whoa. Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Right. But this source is claiming it's already happening.
Really?
And that these secret programs are calling the shots.
And who do they say is controlling these programs?
They say it's a global elite, possibly working with the extraterrestrials.
A global elite. Interesting.
Basically, they're saying this elite is pulling the strings, manipulating food, the media, you name it.
To maintain their power.
That's the idea. They even talk about chemtrails, saying they're filled with harmful chemicals.
Chemtrails. Now, that's the topic that always sparks a lot of debate.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that those claims haven't been scientifically proven,
Oh, totally.
but they're a common thread in these kinds of narratives about control.
Right.
This source claims they're being used to impact human health.
They specifically mention hair loss in men,
Oh, wow.
which I'm sure some of our listeners can relate to.
Probably.
But they also say chemtrails are manipulating weather patterns, or
Right.
even creating those artificial-looking clouds.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Things are about to get even weirder, though.
Oh, ready for this? I think so. During the hypnotic regression session, the subject describes these hybrid beings.
A hybrid being.
Like they've been created through genetic experimentation,
What?
and they're living among us.
Living among us?
Yeah. They describe them as like deformed humans with reptilian feature.
Reptilian.
Some insectoid characteristics too. And they say these beings are used for espionage, like they're infiltrating communities both above and below ground.
Infiltrating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how those fears of the unknown always seem to creep into these stories, right?
It's creepy for sure, even if you don't fully buy into it.
Definitely plays on those primal fears.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
This source also offers a glimmer of hope.
Oh.
They claim that the global elite's control is weakening.
Really? Why is that?
They say more and more people are waking up to what's really going on.
They're becoming aware of the manipulation.
And the truth about extraterrestrial presence. They call it a global awakening. A global awakening. I like that. So like a shift in consciousness.
That's the idea.
People are starting to question the accepted narrative.
Exactly.
And searching for truth.
Even if it's unsettling.
That's what it's all about, right?
I think so. And even if you don't believe everything this source is saying,
Right.
there's still a valuable takeaway here.
What's that?
It's about staying curious, questioning everything,
Yes.
and not taking anything at face value.
Couldn't agree more. That's what this whole deep dive is about.
It's about encouraging critical thinking. Don't just take our word for it.
Exactly.
Or the word of any single source for that matter.
Right.
Look at the information, consider different viewpoints, and draw your own conclusions.
That's how we learn and grow.
Well said. And that's what we'll keep doing as we dig deeper into this whole UFO mystery.
It's a fascinating world for sure.
Full of twists and turns.
Always keeps you guessing.
You ready for more?
Absolutely. Let's see where this rabbit hole takes us. This whole idea of control versus awakening, it's really at the heart of this whole UFO thing, isn't it?
Yeah, like, are we really in control of our own destiny, or are there these unseen forces pulling the strings?
Exactly. And this source claims that as more people learn about UFOs and this supposed global elite's actions, the more they start to question the systems around them.
It's like people are starting to wake up from a dream, right?
Yeah, a dream they didn't even realize they were in.
But if this elite's control is really weakening, as they claim what happens next, what does the future look like?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And while this source doesn't give us a clear prediction, they do stress the importance of critical thinking.
Especially in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with information.
It's so easy to get caught up in sensational stories.
Oh yeah, especially when you're dealing with something as mysterious as UFOs.
Right, so how do we separate fact from fiction?
Exactly. So why should all of this matter to you listening right now?
Yeah, good question.
Well, whether or not you believe in UFOs or government cover-ups or hybrid beings, there's a valuable lesson here.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's about questioning the information you're given, digging a little deeper, and forming your own opinions.
Don't just take anyone's word for it blindly, right?
Exactly, and that includes us.
Oh, absolutely. We're not claiming to have all the answers.
We're just exploring these ideas together, trying to make sense of it all.
And it's important to remember that even within these sources, there's a mix of hard facts and more speculative interpretations.
Like, remember how the source talked about that Pentagon report?
The one with all the new UFO sightings?
Right, and the possibility of recovered alien materials.
That's something that other sources have reported too.
Yeah, it's a concrete detail.
But then there's the source's interpretation of the timing.
Linking it to Project Bluebeam and a staged alien invasion.
That's where things get a little more speculative.
For sure.
So it's crucial to be able to distinguish between fact and interpretation.
And that goes for any information you encounter, not just UFO stuff.
Exactly. Always think critically.
Now, speaking of interpretations, let's go back to those hybrid beings for a second.
Okay, the ones they claim are used for espionage.
Right, and they describe them as deformed humans with reptilian and insectoid characteristics.
It's a pretty disturbing image, isn't it?
It is.
And it's easy to see how that kind of imagery could play on people's fears.
Oh, absolutely. It taps into our deepest anxieties about the unknown.
And it's interesting to think about how those fears are often amplified by the very systems that this source claims are trying to control us.
Like the media, for example.
Exactly.
Think about how often UFO stories are sensationalized.
It's all about grabbing attention, even if it means stirring up paranoia and distrust.
It's like a vicious cycle. The more we fear, the easier we are to manipulate.
Right. Fear makes us vulnerable.
But what I find interesting is that even with all this talk of manipulation and control, this source also offers a glimmer of hope.
They do.
Yeah, they say we can break free from this cycle by becoming more aware, by questioning those narratives that we're given, and by tapping into our own inner power.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all. It's a message of empowerment.
I like that.
It's about reclaiming our agency, our ability to think for ourselves and make our own choices.
It's about taking back control of our own lives.
Exactly. Now let's circle back to those chemtrails for a moment.
Okay, the source claims they're not just about impacting health, but also manipulating weather patterns.
Creating artificial cloud formations.
And they specifically mention hair loss in men.
Right.
I understand the concerns about environmental manipulation, but there's a lack of scientific evidence to support these claims, isn't there?
That's true.
So why do you think this belief persists?
I think it speaks to a deeper anxiety about environmental control.
You mean like governments or corporations acting in ways that harm the public?
Exactly.
It's a valid concern for sure.
Definitely.
We are seeing climate change, pollution, all sorts of environmental issues.
And it's natural to wonder if there are forces at play that are contributing to these problems.
Or at least not being transparent about them.
Right. And regardless of whether or not you believe in chemtrails, there's a valid point there about transparency and accountability.
Absolutely.
Do we have enough information about what's being released into our environment?
And who's ultimately responsible for protecting our planet?
These are important questions to ask, even if the answers are complex.
They are complex.
But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
This source also brings extraterrestrials into the mix.
What do they say about them?
They claim that they're working with this global elite.
Working with them.
Yeah, sharing their advanced technology.
In exchange for what, though?
That's not entirely clear. But the source suggests that these extraterrestrials are interested in harvesting human emotions.
Harvesting human emotions.
Specifically negative ones like fear, anxiety, despair.
They're saying that these emotions are a form of energy that these beings feed on.
That's the idea.
Wow, that's a pretty wild concept.
It is.
But let's entertain it for a moment.
Okay.
What if there's a grain of truth to this?
What if our emotions are more powerful than we realize?
It's a fascinating thought.
Isn't it?
It aligns with some spiritual and metaphysical traditions that emphasize the importance of emotional balance.
Right.
The idea that our thoughts and feelings can shape our reality.
Think about it. We all know how our emotions can affect our physical health, our relationships, our overall well-being.
Yeah, that's true.
So what if there's a deeper, more energetic component to our emotions that we're only just beginning to understand?
It's a possibility worth exploring.
Even if it sounds far-fetched.
Exactly.
And it's a reminder that there's still so much we don't know about the universe and our place in it.
So much we don't know.
Who knows, maybe this whole deep dive into UFOs and government secrets and hypnotic regression is just scratching the surface of something much bigger. It really does feel like we're peeling back layers of an onion here.
And with each layer, we uncover more questions.
But that's part of what makes this so fascinating, right?
It's all about the exploration. The journey, not just the destination.
Speaking of journeys, this source talks about these extraterrestrials being on a journey of their own.
Oh, really?
One that involves like collecting and storing human emotions.
Human emotion.
Yeah, as like a source of energy.
What? That's a new one.
They even suggest that these beings might be getting ready to leave Earth.
Leave Earth?
Maybe because their methods of control are becoming less effective as more people wake up.
So they're cutting their losses.
Maybe. But hold on a second.
Yeah.
Extraterrestrials harvesting human emotions.
I know.
What do you even make of that?
It's definitely a big jump.
Right.
But it does make you think about consciousness and interconnectedness.
Yeah.
They were all part of some bigger cosmic ecosystem.
Okay. But if these beings are really on their way out, what happens to us? What happens to humanity?
Well, the source doesn't really have a concrete answer. But they do suggest that humanity is on the brink of a major transformation.
A global awakening.
Exactly like we talked about before.
Okay.
Leading to a more conscious and empowered way of being.
So even though these extraterrestrials might be leaving, things could actually get better for humanity.
That's the idea. As more people wake up to the truth, they'll be able to break free from those systems of control that have been holding us back.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all. It's a message of hope.
I like that.
It emphasizes our ability to create a better future.
But it also acknowledges that this kind of transformation isn't going to be easy.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
There will be challenges and setbacks. Pushback from those who benefit from the current power structures.
So what can we do?
Yeah.
How can we navigate all this?
That's where critical thinking and discernment come in.
Okay.
We have to be able to sift through all the information out there,
Which is a lot.
identify what's true,
Right.
and make informed choices that are aligned with our values and the future we want to create.
It's like we're being called to step up, become more conscious creators of our own reality.
I like that.
And that starts with questioning everything, right?
Absolutely. Challenge the status quo. Refuse to be manipulated by fear or division.
It's about coming together, building strong communities.
Supporting each other.
Yeah.
The future of humanity really does depend on our collective choices and actions.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from hybrid beings to chemtrails, government cover-ups, and a global elite. It's been a wild ride.
It has.
And remember, what we've explored is just one perspective on a very complex issue.
Definitely.
There are many other viewpoints and interpretations out there.
It's up to each of us to do our own research
Think critically.
and come to our own conclusions.
So keep looking up, stay informed.
And never stop questioning the world around you.
Because who knows what we might discover if we keep our minds open to the possibilities.
Exactly. The truth is out there somewhere.
We just have to find it.